Hi folks, HR Funk here. Out on the odd, nice day here in late February in Ohio, so I thought I would take this opportunity to record number 29 in my series on law enforcement qualification course challenge videos. Now it's been a while since I recorded one of these, so if you've not seen any of the series to this point, what I'm attempting to do is to fire a law enforcement firearms qualification course from each of the 50 states for the purpose of comparing and contrasting those courses and ultimately trying to determine what I think is the best law enforcement firearms qualification course in the country. Now this series does focus on handgun qualifications, and today's qualification course comes to us from the state of Mississippi. Mississippi uses a 50-round course of fire to qualify police officers with their handguns, and that course is divided into 7 stages that take place at distances as close as 3 yards from the target and as far away as 25 yards from the target. Mississippi authorizes several different targets. One of those is the Q target that I have back here on the target board, and the course of fire has a 75% qualification standard. When the Q target is used, each shot that strikes inside of the proper scoring area of the target, which is inside of the bottle-shaped light-colored area here, scores 2 points. So the 50-round course has a total possible score of 100 points. In order to get 75% to qualify in Mississippi, at least 38 of the 50 shots that the officer fires has to be inside of the bottle-shaped area on the target. Now, Mississippi does have some special qualification ratings. If an officer scores above 85%, meaning 86% to 92%, that officer qualifies as a sharpshooter. And if the officer qualifies from 93% all the way up to 100%, that officer qualifies as an expert. Again, the qualification standard is 75%, so in order to be qualified, the officer has to score at least the 75%, meaning, as I said, 38 of the 50 shots have to be in that proper scoring area of the target. Now, each of the 7 stages in the Mississippi course are timed, so I will once again be using my timer to make sure I come in under all the time limits. And as always, I'll explain each stage before I start to shoot it, so you know what you're about to see. And today's challenger is my recently acquired Smith & Wesson Model 5904 9mm pistol. Some of you may recall this pistol from the review that I did a few weeks ago, and we're going to see how it fares when I pit it against the Mississippi Law Enforcement Handgun Qualification Course. And here we go, folks. As I said a few minutes ago, this course starts out at a distance of 3 yards from the target. On the signal to fire, I have to draw, and with my strong hand only, fire 2 rounds into the body of the target in a time limit of 3 seconds. Then I scan for additional threats and reholster. After that, that drill is repeated 2 times, so when I'm all done, I will have fired 6 rounds during this stage. And on we go to stage 2. For stage 2 of this Mississippi course, I'm back to a distance of 5 yards from the target. And from here, I begin with the firearm secured in the holster and loaded with 5 rounds. So there's 1 round in the chamber and 4 rounds in the magazine. On the signal to fire, I have to draw and again fire strong hand only into the target, and the stage requires me to fire 6 rounds. Now remember, there's only 5 rounds in the pistol to begin with, so after the 5th round, I have to reload and then fire that additional round. Now this is one of these situations where I'm going to have to make a judgment call on my course description, because in the course description it doesn't specify if the reload has to be done strong hand only. It just says that the shooting has to be done strong hand only. So I assume it's permissible to conduct the reload with both hands and then fire out that last round, and that's the way I'm going to shoot the stage. If any of you from Mississippi are watching and you know that I'm doing this wrong, please let me know in the comments section. The time limit for this stage for all 6 rounds is 14 seconds. And again, when I complete or I'm completed, I have to scan for additional threats before I reholster the firearm. For stage 3, I'm still at a distance of 5 yards from the target. This time, I begin with the pistol in my non-dominant hand, and on the signal to fire, I have 6 seconds to fire 6 rounds into the target. Stage 4 requires me to fire a failure drill from this distance of 5 yards. So on the signal to fire, I have to draw and fire 2 shots to the body and 1 shot to the head in a time limit of 4 seconds. This exercise is repeated 1 time, so when I'm done, once again, I will have fired 6 rounds during this stage. And it's on to stage 5. For stage 5, I'm back to a distance of 7 yards from the target. This time on the signal to fire, I have to draw and fire 2 shots into the body in a time limit of 3 seconds. Then, again, I scan for additional threats and reholster, and this drill is repeated twice for a total of 6 rounds. For stage 6, I've moved back to a distance of 15 yards from the target. From here, on the signal to fire, I have to draw and fire 3 rounds into the target. Then I drop to a kneeling position and fire 3 more rounds into the target, all within a time limit of 12 seconds. That drill is then repeated 1 time for a total of 12 rounds required on this stage. Seventh and final stage of this Mississippi course, folks. And this stage takes place at a distance of 25 yards from the target, and I'm required to shoot from behind cover, but the course description specifies that I'm not allowed to use the cover to support my shooting. So on the signal to fire, I have to draw and fire 4 rounds into the body of the target standing. Then I drop into a kneeling position and fire 4 more rounds into the body of the target from a kneeling position, all in a time limit of 45 seconds. And it's time for the tale of the target, folks. Of the 50 rounds that I just fired during this Mississippi handgun qualification course, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of them that are outside of the proper scoring area of the target. 3 of those 4 came from that distance of 25 yards that I just shot, and that was not the best 25-yard shooting I've ever done in my life. And part of the problem was that 45-second time limit is a long time, and I'm not used to that. And I started to feel like I was taking too much time, so I speeded up my shooting, and that worked about as well as it always does from 25 yards. In any case, I've got those 5 that are outside the proper scoring area. I've also got this one shot, and this was one of the shots that I fired that was supposed to be a headshot during the failure drill. And since it's not in the brain area, I'm not entirely sure how to count that shot. I'm going to go ahead and count that as a miss also, so that gives me 5 misses on this course, each of which are worth 2 points. And if you remember back at the beginning of the video, I mentioned that the qualification standard for Mississippi is 75%. Well, I managed a 90% my first time through on this course, so I managed to eke out a sharpshooter score. This Mississippi course was kind of deceptive. On paper, it looks fairly easy to average as far as these courses go, but when you start shooting through it, some of these time limits are just tight enough that, particularly when you're drawing from a security holster like I am here, it sort of challenges you to get that pistol out, get up on target, and get your shots off and still meet the time limit. Now, it doesn't have a lot of the things that we've seen in some of the other more elaborate courses that require forced transitions or walking and shooting or anything like that, but really it's not a bad course. And you may have noticed, if you watched close, there were a few of those stages where I didn't get a nice clean draw out of this holster, and I really had to rush to get up on target and get my shots off. And really, the reason that that one shot that was supposed to be a headshot on the failure drill is down here is because I was trying to rush that. I got a little bit of a delay getting my pistol out of the holster. I got my 2 body shots off and I came up to the head. I knew I only had, 4 seconds for that particular stage, and I knew I had to get that shot off. So as soon as I saw the sight, I pressed the trigger and ended up pulling it just a little bit low. So again, not a bad course. I think when I plug it into my course evaluation protocol, it's not going to score as high as some of those more elaborate courses, but really, all in all, this Mississippi course is a pretty good one. And here's one more look at today's Challenger. My 5904 ran flawlessly all through this course, as I pretty much expected it would. It performed very well. These shots that are off the target are all on me. I can't blame the pistol for it because it doesn't fire itself. Those are my fault for not taking my time and getting a little bit better shot. In any case, that's the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, as always, make sure you forward those to me. Remember, if you order anything from Optics Planet, be sure to use my discount code, which is... And if you use that discount code, it's good for 5% off anything you order from Optics Planet. See you next time, folks. And until then, good shooting. Bye-bye.